Over my time as an artist, I've had a lot of sketchbooks, and lots of paper to go along with it. And some of my artworks that I made are really good, and some of them are really trash. But putting that aside, we are going to review all my sketchbooks today, starting with this one. This one isn't really a sketchbook, it is just some paper because the actual sketchbook kind of broke. So over here, I just did some practice and some scribbling on the paper. I tried to do proportions, but I really couldn't. As you can see here, I tried to do proportions as well, but it looks so chopped. So over here, we have some anime art that I made of Demon Slayer and some more because I was really interested in Pokemon and anime at the time. I really like these two drawings, one of Goku and one of Shanks. Here's a really cool Halucha drawing I made. Like you guys can see, all of these drawings are basically anime related because I was too scared to try anything else. And that was the reason I couldn't improve at the time. Basically, all of this is just me tracing or copying another person's artwork. And literally half of these characters are all fan art and not my original characters. And that brings us to the end of our old drawings. Moving on from that disappointment, we have another sketchbook, and I thought the first page was going to come out really well, but then it turned out like this. So over here is when I tried to doodle for the first time, and it's just some art challenges that I decided to try. And over here has to be my favorite page in this sketchbook because I tried to create my own manga, which came out pretty well. As you can see, I tried to make my original characters, but I really couldn't. This is an OC that you're going to see very soon. And over here, you can see I tried to doodle with acrylic paint, which did not go well. Here is when I finally got the hang of proportions with female and males. And over here is just a doodle that I made because I was bored. Over here, you can see this is my first time in colored pencil. And over here, I was just refining my proportions even more. And that brings us to the end of our second sketchbook. Over here, we can see my second time in colored pencils, and I tried to draw Naruto. There's so much streakiness here, even in the hair. Over here, we move on to our third sketchbook, which has to be one of the most important ones. On the front cover of this, I decided to draw a little cat. And I tried to hatch inside this one. And I think this came out pretty good. And over here, I just decided to show my art journey throughout the years. Now over here is where I decided to get serious. I did no tracing, no copying, and I just decided to use proportions. On this page, I decided to do a Spider-Man drawing. Here's another art challenge that I made. And here, I think I drew Technoblade in an anime art style. As you can see, I put some other characters around him as well. And on the last page here, I just decided to do some practice with some eyes and hair. Now on to the next sketchbook. You guys can see that I'm using the same old mixed media art pad. That's because this is a whopping 300 GSM, and that's really thick. In this sketchbook, I was really obsessed with doodle art. And here I drew my OC Corey, and I just put some really cool drawings in here. Onto this page, I think this was my first attempt at watercolor, and over here I did alcohol markers and oil paints. This has to be my second attempt at watercolor. Here I just decided to practice with different art materials and draw some eyes. Over here in watercolor, I just drew a chill guy. And here, I think this was in watercolor and mixed media, I just drew this really funny portrait of someone. And I believe this was my first attempt at acrylic markers. And I think this drawing was because of my first video. And over here, I just did some eye practice. And that brings us to the end of this sketchbook. And over here, I just did a quick sketch of Demon Slayer. I think on this piece of paper, I tried to do a ninja anatomy pose, but I think it went pretty well. And on these two pages, I did some eye drawings of Dragon Ball Z and My Hero Academia, as you can see here. And I think I did it a half-half challenge. Moving on from that, I think this is where I did my first realism drawing of Venom. And over here I did a Doodle Art X Dragon Ball Z poses. And this drawing came out really colorful, as you can see. And this was my second or third acrylic marker drawing, I'm not really sure. And here I did a macaw artwork with watercolor, and here just a little tiny doodle. This was a series that I did on my YouTube channel, which was drawing Luffy in 4 different styles. This alcohol marker drawing went really wrong. I tried to draw Fluffy or Gabriel Iglesias and it went really wrong. On this piece of paper, I did a sunset artwork with acrylic paint and one with, I think, alcohol markers. And this was a quick little doodle I did of a knight and a little cat. Over here, I tried to draw Naruto in 4 different styles. I'm still working on it. And here I did a toucan artwork with watercolor paints. This one was also a quick little doodle with alcohol markers just to see and experiment. This had to be one of my most amazing artworks because I tried to doodle only using the color red. As you can see here, I doodled inside the Mega Blaziken as well. And this took me about 5 days. Now this was my first attempt at the new art medium gouache, and I think this came out pretty well. This was my second attempt. The lines look a lot cleaner, as you can see, compared to this. In my opinion, I think the second one came out better, but tell me what you think in the comments. Moving on from those two, I think this was made from watercolor, and I've tried to make a really cool contrast with the green and green-blue. And this one was pretty impressive because it was my first time using a graphite cut pencil. And this one was a quick eye doodle that I made with watercolor and graphite pencils. This one was a quick little sketch with watercolor, and I just made this when I was bored. Now in this sketchbook, it is where it gets serious because on the front cover I doodled a lot and I was obsessed with doodle art at this time. As you can see, I included a lot of famous characters and cartoons in here. Over here, I drew my original character Corey. This came out pretty well because I doodled in the background and used contrasting colors. On this page, I drew a UG doodle art with him doing the Black Flash. I didn't really use a different color for the skin though. And over here, I drew only using yellow and purple. This came out pretty cool as well. And over here, I drew another Corey artwork with Corey and Evil Corey. I doodled a lot in this one. I honestly think this was a really fun artwork to make and create. I don't really know why. And over here, we have O'Shea Jackson, or also known as Ice Cube. Moving on from this artwork, I think you guys know what this is. This is me drawing your guys' comments. Here I drew Krabby, another original character, and I had this really cool background design that I decided to do on him. Here is Luffy, and I tried to do only using green in this one, and this came out really cool. I included a lot of famous characters inside this one. Here is a original character. I don't really know what to name him. Now this one is Corey Final Boss, and this one was really cool to make and really fun to create. And that brings us to the end of this sketchbook. And now this video comes to show how much art supplies or art sketchbooks that you can gather inside your time in art. Hear me out, guys. When I am saying a big pile of sketchbooks, I am not joking. There is so much paper and sketchbooks inside this pile. Please keep in mind, this is not even all my sketchbooks because I probably lost some along the way. Now, I thank you all for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye!